I've seen the same thing happen over and over. You scroll through glossy Amazon pages, the camera looks sleek, the sample shots look like they were taken by a pro, and then you finally get it in your hands and realize the autofocus chases the subject like a lazy dog, the battery dies before you finish a weekend shoot, and the menu feels like you're learning a new language. That frustration is why I wanted to break down the Fujifilm X-T5 with the 1650mm f2.84.8 lens before anyone spends hard-earned cash on it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I spent a few days testing the kit in everything from a candlelit birthday dinner to a sunrise hike, and I also dug through forums where owners talk about the day-to-day quirks that never make it into the official spec sheet. First off, the X-T5 isn't just a camera that looks good on a shelf, it's built around Fujifilm's 40.2-megapixel APS-C X-Trans sensor. In practical terms, that means you can pull out a 24-36-inch print from a single shot of a cityscape and still see the texture of the bricks. I tried that on a cloudy afternoon in downtown, and the detail held up even after a light push processing in Lightroom. The sensor's architecture also gives you a surprisingly clean high ISO performance. At ISO 3200, the noise stayed under control enough to capture the flickering candles on a birthday cake without the usual grain that forces you to add noise reduction in post. For anyone who often shoots in dim venues, weddings, indoor concerts, or night markets, that low-light competence is a real confidence booster. Autofocus, however, is where the X-T5 both shines and trips up. Fujifilm's hybrid AF combines contrast detect with phase detect points, and on static subjects it locks on instantly. I was able to nail a portrait of a friend standing still on a park bench with the focus point staying exactly where I wanted. The trouble appears when the subject moves unpredictably. During a street photography sprint, a cyclist zipped past and the focus lagged about half a second before catching up, resulting in a few missed frames. If you're a sports photographer or you rely on fast subject tracking, you might find the AF a step behind competing mirrorless options that use a larger array of on-sensor phase points. Stabilization is another practical piece of the puzzle. The X-T5 body offers a 5-axis in-body image stabilization, IBIS, that compensates up to 6 stops, according to Fujifilm's own testing. In real life, I could shoot handheld at 1/30th second in low light and still get a sharp image, something I normally reserve for a tripod. That works nicely for vloggers or anyone who wants to stay nimble, especially when you pair the kit lens, which is already pretty light. The trade-off is that the kit lens variable aperture, f2.84.8, means you lose a bit of low-light edge compared to a prime f1.4 or f2.0 lens. If you're planning to push the camera's limits in dim environments, consider investing in a faster XF prime later on. Battery life on the X-T5 is respectable but not legendary. The included NPW235 cell gave me about 540 shots in normal shooting mode, which aligns with Fujifilm's rating. On a full day of shooting weddings, I had to carry a spare battery, and the camera's USB-C port let me top up on the go without swapping batteries, a nice feature when you're stuck in a venue without a power outlet. That said, if you're a traveling photographer who expects to shoot for hours on a single charge, you'll want to budget for an extra battery or a portable charger. Now let's talk about the menu system, which can be a love-or-hate factor for new users. Fujifilm sticks to its classic analog-style dials for exposure, ISO, and drive mode, which feels intuitive once you get the hang of it. The touchscreen, however, is not as responsive as you might expect from a modern mirrorless camera. Swiping through the playback mode took a few extra seconds, and the focus assist overlay can be a bit cluttered when you're trying to fine-tune iDetect AF. If you've never used a Fujifilm before, expect a short learning curve. The manual is thorough, and the community on YouTube offers step-by-step walkthroughs that smooth the process. The lens ecosystem is one of Fujifilm's strong suits. The X-mount has more than 30 native lenses, ranging from ultrawide 8mm to 200mm telephoto primes, many of which retain the brand's signature color science. I tried swapping the kit lens for a 56mm f1.2 portrait lens on a later day, and the transition was seamless, no adapter needed, and the camera's face detect algorithm worked perfectly with the new focal length. That flexibility makes the X-T5 a solid platform for growth. You can start with the kit, then gradually add specialty lenses as your style evolves. So who should actually consider buying the X-T5 with this kit? If you're a hobbyist who loves to capture high-resolution stills, enjoys the tactile feel of dedicated dials, and values a camera that can double as a lightweight travel